Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for having me. I'm here today to talk about my book, Unveiled, How Western Liberals Empower Radical Islam. Now, as soon as I read that title to somebody in India, they say to me, well, it's not just Western liberals, it's also in India as well. And I know that's true because I'm seeing a lot of the issues that we are dealing with here are very similar to what you are dealing with over there. And I think the main problem is that we need to remain consistent. As liberals, we need to remain consistent with our values, regardless of who is doing the action that we disagree with. So in my book, I talk about I give a lot of examples of what I mean by that. And one of the examples is when I was 12 years old, I went to one of my teachers to tell him about how I was being mistreated at home. So I was being physically abused. And it went to the police and then to child services and then to court. And eventually the judge said, there's nothing that we're going to do to your family to rule against them because that is your culture and that is how your family chooses to discipline you. So in essence, what they were doing is they were telling me, you are different from all the other children. Because you are from a Muslim family, because you are from an Arab family, you don't bleed the same blood as other children. And so even though they thought that by doing that, they were being culturally sensitive, in essence, what they were doing was being extremely bigoted to me and treating me differently than everybody else. So when I say that it is important that we stay consistent in our values, that's what I'm talking about. If we believe that, abusing children is wrong, then anybody abusing children, any children being abused is wrong. So it shouldn't matter if I'm from a Muslim family or from an Arab family, all children should be treated the same. And this isn't just personal issues with children and in families. Sometimes it's legal and public issues as well. So in Canada, we have secular public schools, which means for a long time, for about 30 years, we have been pushing Christianity out of schools because we want schools to be completely secular. We have succeeded in pushing Christianity out of schools, and now there are Muslims trying to bring Islamic prayers into schools. And if people speak out against that, they are called Islamophobic, they are called racist, they are called bigots, they are called right-wing. Again, we need to stay consistent. If we want our schools to be secular, then that means we do not want any religion, not Christianity, not Islam. We need to stop treating Islam like it is something different and giving it special, attention. It should be treated no differently than all the other religions. In my province where I live here in Canada, there is an Iranian-Canadian man who was criticizing how the Iranian government deals with people, with men who hurt their daughters through honor violence and honor killing. Iran is under Sharia, which means that a father can murder his daughter if he disagrees with what she's doing, and he will get a very light sentence. And so this friend of mine, who is Iranian Canadian, is speaking out against his own country, and he was fired from his job. They told him, "You are being Islamophobic." So you cannot even criticize your own culture, your own country, your own religion. And this is very important because the subtitle of my book is How Western Liberals Empower Radical Islam. And what those Western liberals don't realize is that when they keep on empowering the radical Muslims, they are losing the secular Muslims, the humanist Muslims, the feminist Muslims. They are being left without allies. The liberals should be allying with them. They should not be allying with the people that oppress them. So we need to do the opposite of empowering radical Islam. We need to empower the Muslims who believe in secular and liberal values. They are our allies. We must work together. We have to work together against the forces of radicalization in the Islamic communities. So when there are Muslim kids who say, "I don't want to wear hijab," when there are Muslim girls who say, "I don't want to get married to this man," when there are Muslim women who want to have their independence, we should be supporting them. We should not be supporting the systems that they are fighting against. We need to empower the Muslims who do not force their daughters into hijab, empower the Muslims who accept their children if they are gay, empower the Muslims who will accept their children if they decide that they want to leave Islam. We need to empower all people, whether they are Muslim or not, all people who believe in the shared values of feminism, humanism, secularism, liberalism. We all have to share this world together. And so we all have to work together against the forces of evil, against the forces of radicalization, and against the forces of terrorism. Those forces are not, it doesn't happen overnight. It's very, very slow. It's very, very gradual. So for myself, I grew up in a fundamentalist home, and I was being told messages about the caliphate my whole life. I was being told messages about how we need to make this world Islamic, and we have to get rid of the infidels, and we have to get rid of the Jews, and we have to get rid of the polytheists. This does not happen all in one day. This is a very, very slow process that happens from a very young age. And the only way someone like me or someone like those thousands, if not millions of kids that are hearing those same messages that I was hearing, those kids that are going to madrasas, those kids that are going to mosque and hearing the khutbah, the only way to protect those children, to inoculate those children from growing up to becoming radicalized terrorists, is by being very, very strong in the counter narratives. So that means that we have to, when they speak about terrorism, we have to strongly speak about peace. When they talk about segregating men and women, we have to strongly talk about gender equality. When they talk about killing people for being gay, we have to strongly talk against homophobia. So we have to make sure that we are not being weak in our responses, because our lives depend on it, and the lives of these kids depend on it. They need to hear a counter narrative. They need allies. They need support. And that's what you are here to do. You are here to support them in hearing a different narrative, and then that child will be able to choose. And I truly believe that when people are given the option between good and evil, they generally will choose good. That is most people, I believe, are good. But unfortunately, when you're talking about an ideology like Islam, it tells people that in order to be good, in order to be the best Muslim, you have to be a mujahid. You have to do jihad. And so these people think that they are doing good. So that's the sounds that they're hearing all the time in the khutbahs and in the madrasas. And so they need to hear strong voices in the opposite direction. And that's what happened to me. So I was married off to a member of Al-Qaeda, a terrorist who murdered people, a terrorist who worked with bin Laden in Afghanistan. And I had a daughter with him. And I was able to get away from him and start my life all over again because I felt that there was hope, that there was freedom. And I wanted my daughter to have a free world. I wanted her to live in a free society. I didn't want her to grow up the way that I grew up. And the only way that I could make that decision was knowing that there was another option out there, another strong option out there that supported me, that didn't work against me and supported instead the people that I was fighting against. I'll tell you another example of something that's happening here in Canada is we have some laws to support secularism. One of those laws is called Bill 21 in a province of Quebec. So that law says that anybody working in the government, in the public sector, should not be wearing any religious clothing. So what they are doing in Quebec is they are treating all religions equally. And of course, the Muslims are complaining. They're saying this is Islamophobic, this is racist because you don't let us wear hijab. It's the same for all the religions, but it's the Muslims who are complaining and are saying it's not fair to us. And so what you end up having are actual Arab Muslim women and men are standing up loudly and saying, no, actually, we support this bill. We support secularism in Quebec. We don't want Sharia. We left our home countries because we didn't want Sharia. We came to Canada because we want secularism. These are Arab Muslim people, and the white liberal Canadian people are calling them Islamophobic and racist and right-wing. So what's important to remember is this is not a fight against, atheist versus Hindu or Christian versus Muslim. This is a fight for secularism versus totalitarianism, authoritarianism. That's the issue here. So many, 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 many Muslims agree with all of these secular and liberal values. And instead of empowering radical Islam, those are the Muslims that we should be empowering. Those are the Hindus we should be empowering. Those are the Christians we should be empowering. Those are the Buddhists we should be empowering. Those are the Jewish people we should be empowering. Because it doesn't matter what religion the person is. If they believe in the same shared values of secularism, then we can all work together. Thanks again.